Is it live or is it Memorex? Sorry, got to reposition the camera. Keep bumping this thing. And I greet you with the love and honor of the infinite creator. I am your humble host, Mr. David Nall, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I'm here this evening just to be goofy. I'm taking I'm taking all my heart pills and stuff. This is I just left doing Robert V show and I realized oh I haven't really had anything. Well, I did eat something earlier, but I was in such a rush and I did not take the meds. I forgot, and so I'm about an hour late. Hey, Susie, in taking my meds, but I'm taking them now, and I'm taking them about the same basic times every day. So I should be within my parameters of my heart medications without breaking any major rules. Because they were never really on time when I was in the hospital either. So, well, wait a minute. I'll be back in 10 minutes, and they'd show up an hour later. Here I am with your meds, Mr. No. So, let's see. Wait. I kept bumping everything. So, anyway, hey, Chloe and Susie. I'm just hanging out tonight. I have no particular agenda or message, maybe a couple of things, but um, in my goofiness with these medicines I'm taking, and you know, my heart attacks, there was two of them. Um, I can't feel anything. I mean, while it's going on, I don't have any defib or anything. Now my pulse will race, but I can't necessarily feel that. I can gauge it or, take my pulse or get a thingy, but you don't really, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. It ain't like that, which I'm kind of grateful that it ain't, but at the same time, as I was talking about it before, um, you know, it's real, the type of thing that I have, it's really quiet. It just sneaks up on you. So if your blood pressure goes up, that's one of the biggest things, then it can cause the heart to defib, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I'm learning about this stuff and I'm reading things and I got to say that these meds just make me absolutely goofy. But in this lightheaded airiness, I'm like, wow, gee whiz, this is fun. you know, wow, I wish I could share this, but not everybody needs to have low blood pressure all the time. You know, I just just happens to be the curiosity that I'm going through right now. Oh wee. So anyway, now I'm taking my 2 times a day pills. So I've been in rare form this afternoon, uh, even for myself. Excuse me, but the fact that I'm taking the rest of my meds, so the next 30 minutes ought to prove interesting. Just what you talking about there, Hawkeye? I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't. I just know that I'm very glad to have. Dead gummit. Now you know that drink right there is not going to open, right? How did I knock that thing over? You better soothe yourself. Um, how did I get in this frame of mind? What put myself here? And I'm so glad that my situation wasn't any worse than it was. And there are still some quote friends of mine. No, it wasn't that bad. He's just trying to make it up to be more than it is. I don't know. 2 heart attacks is 2 heart attacks. I don't have to make this shit up. And I'm not trying to be no superhuman or nothing, but it took the wind out of my sails. But at the same time, it has given me wind in my sails because these in and knowing what I know now, that I do have a heart condition, I'm very glad that I know that I have a heart condition, because I was trying to just ignore it all before, and I'm just a gruff old cooter man and blah 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 blah. And I don't need no stinking doctors. I don't need no stinking pills. Yeah, I do. There's some more. Because I've ruined 20% of my heart. And guess what, gang? It needs help. Needs help from clogging up and keeping flowing and all that kind of stuff. So, I'm here for the long haul. Um, I've made sure enough mistakes in my life that it's like I was thinking earlier back when some of my favorite comedians had heart attacks, kind of thing. And I was like, I kind of sort of know in a way a little bit how Carlin felt after his heart attack, at least his first one. He got a jolt and said, "What the fuck?" And whatever he was thinking before, he wasn't thinking it the same way after that heart attack. Let me tell you, he looked at it from a different point of view, and you can tell in his own humor. And then later on, he had another heart attack, and had another heart attack, and I think a heart attack killed him. But anyway, but to the point though, the realization of it and the reality that it's just like, dang, you're inside this great big giant bell, and all of a sudden you just woke up to something, and you ain't sure what you woke up to. you know, oh my God, I was at death's door. Yeah, and he blocked that bitch on me, and said, go home. Wait, hold on, hang on a second, another pill, my last one for the day. Actually, well, by my clock, it's 11:20. So by my clock, I'm taking meds before 12. I know it says in the thing down there. Hey, CD, Susie, how are you? Oh, Mark, how are you? Chloe, Susie, CD, yellow, purple. Is this? Are we coming up with different colors? Now I'm in a really goofy mood. I'm fixing to smoke me this because it's 11. I'm sorry, it's 12:23, and I was trying to do this before the 20. An intracellular cleanse. Now, with a name like CD, it does that mean? Never mind, never mind, never mind, never mind. Was wondering if it was like one of them CD cleaners that you put in your thing in the old days. Anyway, intracellular. Are you cleaning yourself or your phone? By the way, I found it very interesting that August the 1st is not necessarily the start of dog days, but August the 1st, and but it is now, today is the 3rd, but yesterday my cell phone went and did an update. And it was like, hi, this is your Android update. Well, in trying to hook up with Zoom earlier with Robert V, whoops, had to stop before we could connect before the show. It had an update. Then something else has had an update. Since I've gotten out of the hospital or went in and gotten out, I don't know, there's been a Google something update. I mean, there's been a lot of updates of stuff in the last 3 days, especially the last two. I mean, the phone programs all of a sudden update. Now, I have not a clue what that means in the long run. Whoa, 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 in the long run. Anyway, music running through my head. Cheers. if you, woo, that was a good one, let me tell you. Mm. I have not had my evening breathing treatment because it was scheduled. I've been normally doing it about 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. And if you see me wiping my nose and my forehead, I've used this for my treatment, and it has the smoke comes out, and the one type that I have that comes through this thingy has a steroid in it, and it makes my face itch. My nose is itching on the inside, it feels like. I mean, I stick my finger up there and try to scratch it. I'm out here on the outside, and it's annoying. Yeah, there's an annoyance here in the house tonight, and it has been attacked by the steroid. It's on steroids. Um, but in wiping my forehead and my face and whatever, it is driving me nuts. So if you see me going like this tonight, which I'm going to be doing, it is the steroids in the drug, man. The steroids in the drug are making my mustache itch. It's just. So that's the good news. That's the good news about heart attacks. You get all this stuff to make you itch all over, and I was reading through the side effects of some of these drugs I'm on. And, one says, well, your back's going to hurt. Well, some bitch, my back hurts all the time anyway. But in trying to get up, I go, why does my back hurt so bad? Well, the pills are helping your backache. Another one, several of them are like, see, I can't, go away. I wish there was something I could put on, other than a mask. But so, anyway, um, learning how to deal with these new drugs and what they're trying. See, I can't keep my hands off my face. And I don't normally, fidget like this. So I was trying my best during Robert's show. It's like I had my hands like this down, like, you better not, you better not. And he's reading along and talking about, um, at the moment, I'm itching so bad I can't remember the name of that guy's name that, that we just got done talking about. Not Pocahontas, no. Anyway, so a lot of crazy things running through my head. Gerald, how are you? Snort some H? Nah, I don't. I gave up anything like that a long time ago. I have spent time in jail because I possessed, back in the 70s, methyl deoxyamphetamine, MDA, which was some of the cleanest blow I've ever had the pleasure to snort up my nose. And I had a bunch of monkeys on my back. Holy crap, man. I had gorillas on this side. I had an orangutan that just loved to hang around, and a couple of little spider monkeys that jumped around my head. Hey Pearl, how are you? Um, Anesthetic. Every time I bit it gets slower. Yeah, I don't know about my cell phone. Um, it's a lively one. It's for old people. It's got a device up there. You push the button, and it's like, I'm falling and I can't get up. And they're like, so what are you going to do? I'm going to lay here on the floor and talk to you folks on the phone. Do you need an ambulance? I don't know. I have fallen and I can't get up. Do you need an ambulance, sir? Did you just hear me, Sonny, on the phone on the other end? I don't know if I can get up or not. I fell and the damn phone went off, and now I'm talking to you. I have fallen and I can't get up, at least for the moment. Are you okay, Mr. No? Hell if I know, I'm falling and I can't get up. I mean, these are some of these really real scenarios, that go on. Well, do you need to come to the hospital? I don't know if I have fallen and I can't get up. Are you bleeding anywhere? Not that I'm aware of. I can't see because it's in the dark because I fell and I can't get up. All right, Mr. No, calm down. I'm calm as you people keep asking me these stupid ass questions, So my sister has a dummy one. You're a dummy. You don't have to answer no questions. It goes around your neck. And I'm thinking I might have to get one of these. It saves lives. Yeah, life alert. Yeah, it's on my phone. There's a button and everything. Of course, you got to pay out the fucking ass for the damn thing. How much is it a month? They're like $95, but no offense, it'll save you. This service is $95 fucking dollars. I think I'd rather die. Can I just get a cowbell? Can you hear me from the woods, y'all? Maybe I could get a cup with a string. I don't know exactly how much this one is, but it's more than $10 a month. Okay, it's like $35 or $40 a month for the service if I get it with this phone. And there are other upgrades and stuff. What the? Can I just like hit this button and y'all go, are you okay? And I can put 911 as a single number too. So but now um my aunt Shirley, this is for real, she's 86 now or so, and when she falls she can't get up. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be. I can joke about myself, but I ain't gonna joke about my friends and family. But she has a device that's around her neck, and if it falls to a certain point, her phone will ring, and it will alert. And this is this is life alert. Are you all right? Should we call 911? So I was joking earlier, but at the same point, it ain't a joke, but it is, but it isn't, because sometimes when they ask certain questions, is like, are you bleeding anywhere? I don't know. I can't see. I've fallen. I'm just seriously, if I fell and I'm looking up at the ceiling, "Hey, are you bleeding anywhere? Fuck if I know. I can't tell. Is there blood on the floor? I don't know. I can't roll over. I mean, these are realities from my point of view, and from situations that I've already been through. Now, I've never had to call 911 like that. God forbid. At least for me, I've had to call 911 because of that person who had their leg amputated that one December out in the middle of the country, and had to save that gentleman's life, which I'm glad I was there to help do. But when stuff happens to you and you're the one on the ground, now I ain't missing no limbs or nothing. Thank you, Jesus. Y'all didn't take no body parts. Of course, little Hermit has disappeared. So, between my last wife and this event, I'm almost a woman. I was thinking about this new thing, that our vice president, Kamala, commit, come out, anyway, that I guess she's black woman. What is her designation? And she sits down and she goes, I am a this, I'm a that, and I'm in a blue dress. And I was like, oh, honey, please. So now it's pronoun a gender identification or whatever. So now I don't know if I'm a man anymore. Why? Because something's missing. Like what the, you know, I had used to have something down there years ago. It was never much to brag about, but it was there. And now I'm like, holy crap, I could be a woman. Well, with my long hair and the fact that I really like, I always thought maybe I was a lesbian anyway. And that, maybe now that I could be a true lesbian now. I might actually qualify. Like, yeah. Well, if there ain't no danglies no more, then, but you can have danglies and still be a lesbian, apparently, or not. I mean, I'm just not sure. But I was like, now, me and my long hair, I just felt so sexy in the hospital with with them yellow slippers on. I sent some of y'all a picture. And I just felt like, oh my goodness gracious, oh please. In my older life, I could be a lesbian. And you mean now I could get away with it? And I mean, before I was just joking, but hey. So, but anyway, this gender qualification thing. Now, there's a commercial going on the internet where there's this, I don't know, man, woman, child, or whatever this person thingy is. I guess they're a person sitting there interviewing this guy, and they're kind of sitting apart on these stools, and something about a wolf. And have you talked to a wolf? Now, I'm sorry. I thought I knew what a wolf was. It's a canine type animal because I've had one here that was running around on my property there for a while and got to know a wolf personally, healed it in the middle of the night with prayers from the creator. But they ain't talking the same kind of wolf. You know what I'm talking about? What the hell are they talking about is what I'm trying to find out talking about it. Like, what the hell? What's a wolf now? Woman outside of love and family? Or I don't know. I just don't know. And I guess I might have to find out about all these pronouns and stuff myself because I might want to be one. I can paint my face. I got some really nice red lipstick. I'll trim up my mustache just right. And wait a minute. What kind of lesbian should I be? Now, should I be a bull dyke lesbian? Well, I don't want to wear no strap on. I mean, I just don't. And I just have never thought about wearing one. Of course, now that my danglies are almost dangled past or gone, I'm like, well, maybe I could take my manhood back by being a bull dyke lesbian because I like licking carpet, right? Munching carpet. Um, so, but wait a minute, they don't have carpets no more. Some of them, they're all slicky and stuff. I understand. Ain't seen one in a while, so you know what I'm talking about. But I think at my age, you got to snatch up a chance to get out of it. God Almighty, I be forewarned. I am not the part of my brain that usually censors things is not working. Okay, I mean it ain't working. So some of the stuff that I'm intimidated and intimating. Wait a minute. Hey, what's that word? Intimated and what? Incapacitation. Well, that there's that too. There's this little guy running around on the floor and he's screaming at me. Hey, you shut up there. You better mind your own damn business. If I catch him out here in front of me, I'm gonna kick him across the room. I think my spirit guides are drunk tonight. They're sitting up there going, "Holy Jesus, we don't know this guy." Yeah, you do. This is just one of my funner sides, or crazy sides, or whatever. I've almost committed crazy side. Never mind. Infanticide and crazy side. Never mind. I've killed the tiny person in my brain that is just being goofy tonight. But I honestly, wanted to go over a couple of things. Do you get ringing in your right ear? Oh, right ear, left ear. Right now, this is going. It's kind of sort of playing oh Billy boy, the pipes are calling. Yeah, this ear's left. Wait, left ear. Okay, I'm sorry. I really did want to go over a couple of things that was just stupid in the news. Because some of these people and somehow I'm just scanning through the many YouTube channels that I am subscribed to. Now, for example, I got a kick out of this one, and it's right at the top of the thing. Was like the Young Turks a minute ago, right? Alex Jones scolded by a judge for chewing gum. Now, I mean, If that ain't a major story that needs to be out there in front of the public, Alex Jones scolded by the judge for chewing gum. Now that's just outrageous. I mean, she should have told everybody no gum chewing before they started the damn thing. But Alex got scolded by the judge. Come on now, y'all. Really. But that's the headline for the young turds. But that's what it is. Now, here's China from the Sky News from Australia. China to begin live fire exercises surrounding Taiwan. U.S. must pay the price. Oh, holy crap. I mean, we got enough stuff. We should be able to just go over there with a couple of big bulldozers and a couple of barges and whatever, and just lift Taiwan up and just move it further away from China. And we should be able to do that, right? World has a lot to lose if there's armed conflict. Now, there's a picture of Joe Biden and between two nuclear armed superpowers. Now, listen to this statement. Now, there's a picture of Joe Biden and somebody from China there. And the title is to this: The world has a lot to lose if there's armed conflict between two nuclear superpowers. And I want to go, well, duh. What is wrong with you people? There would be consequences if two superpowers started chunking nukes at each other. No shit. Really? You think that, huh? I I grew up in Tampa, Florida, right? We grew up because we could literally see the Russian ships outside the window out through Tampa Bay that was bringing, the missiles to Cuba, And so we had a reason to hide under our desk. There are people that were up north and stuff and along the East Coast, and, we all had to hide under our desk. But yeah, you know, I went to school where MacDill Air Force Base was like 6 miles south of us. And, I mean, Cuba's like a couple 100 miles just outside the bay. And I always wondered as a child, why is everybody else, worried about nuclear stuff when we're like, from a tall building, you can see Cuba from Tampa almost, but not quite. But the idea that everybody else is going through the same thing, like you folks is going to get bombed, you know, with enough Cubans, they could have tied a rubber band together and projectile that thing over to us in Tampa. So, but anyway, I was listening to somebody. I remember when we were hiding under our desk as young children, and they did. Because back then, hang on, there were real ships with real rockets, just south of Miami heading towards, Cuba. And there was really, honestly, something to be freaking scared about. Now, not to say that some of this stuff, but they've been scaring the crap out of the baby boomer generation since the 60s. I'm sorry. So, and I've had enough of this, y'all trying to scare me to death again, because after dangling with death last week, I just don't care. You know, I'm fixing my years are numbered. Obvious to me. I ain't in a hurry to get there now. But if something come along, oh my God, it's a nuclear bomb. Well, I guess my time's a little early. Okay, I wonder how a nuclear bomb is going to feel going off. I mean, going to put this in my shaman dirty for sure. Like walking on coals or something. But anyway, But we're all scared of something, and they want to keep us scared. But I can't believe they keep repeating themselves on some things. So let me go back to this other. Oh, hey, Gerald. Absolutely. Yeah, I graduated Tampa Catholic in 1970. It's a brave new world. Yep. Hey, Mark. Our angel's trying to get our attention, but sometimes it confuses me. Uh, CD. Let me go back up here. I would agree with that. Um, there are sometimes when quote my angel messages, and I just look at the. It might take me days or weeks to decipher some of this stuff, and I often wonder like, what the hell do you really mean by this impression thing I'm getting? And 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 what am I supposed to do with the information? Now I do have a YouTube channel, and I talk about stuff all the time, and I've talked about this particular subject's been I've been chewing the cud on this one for a while. Cogitating. Oh my God! I was walking around today, and I realized, I'm a true Southerner in a lot of ways, even though I was born in Ohio. Uh, Earlier in my first video, well, that was yesterday now because it's after 12. But that I was talking about cogitating on things, and we got into this little discussion about the word cogitate and what it actually means. And that for me, it means what it means, but to ruminate or to use other words. But I saw him after ap- after the live stream now yesterday morning, walking up the driveway, and I decided to take a left to go check out a couple of blueberry bushes. Now I'm supposed to be very careful because today makes a week out of the hospital. I don't have anybody around, just me and the dog, and I'm not trying to make it overly whatever, but I'm like, I'm cogitating here that I'd really like to go over there. I just want to mosey around, and then I got to laughing, and I'm standing in the middle of my driveway because I'm cogitating while I'm moseying around. And I was like, now, only a true Southerner would understand about moseying around means, or cogitating, or doing both of them at the same time. Oh, I never left my childhoods. I just covered them up with alcohol and old age. That's a good quote, actually. I've never lost my inner child. I just covered him up with alcohol and old age. That's actually funny. Modern Confederate. Oh, I love the South, and I would fight for the South if there was to come a war of the North and the South again. I would definitely. I'd tell my kin up north, y'all come down, but I ain't coming up. But if y'all think you're gonna get this flat, yeah, I would fight for the South. Oh, the other thing, Gerald, that a lot of people don't know, my real father's name is Cicero Lee, and when I did the family tree on his last name, I'm like 90% sure of the family lines that I am related to Robert E. Lee. And so I have studied on him over the years. I've been to the Andersonville prison site in Andersonville, Georgia. I have done meditation on the side of the hill there and some other things. Hey, Katniss, how are you? So I'm an old Confederate as well. I absolutely do feel like I was in the something in the not a general. I was not Robert E. Lee. Okay, let me get that straight. But I was absolutely had something in the Confederate War in a previous life. It's just way too strong for me, and it was down here in the South. I'm not sure if I was a Southerner, uh, but I was down. I somehow ended up in the South. I when I was at Andersonville Prison and sitting on the grounds there, I had visions of the campfires at night and the smoke and just I want to go back up there. I used to go up. They had a festival every once a year. Then they made it twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring, and they would do reenactments up there. And I would go and do puppet shows, and they'd pay me to go up there, and I'd have a get some free meals, hamburger, whatever, and watch and see these cannons go off and fill the valley there, and go spend time at the prison. And so I've been up to Andersonville several times, but not recently as I've gotten older. Things have changed down here in the South. To do them types of things pisses the Northerners off that moved down here. Okay. They really don't like that shit. Um, and it's true. There's a lot of Northerners like took over the city of Valdosta. Oh man, it used to be a nice southern town, and they claim it's a nice southern town now. But when you talk to some of them folks, like the city councilman, they ain't from around here. Okay. Oh well, I'm originally from New York, and we moved down here, 10 years ago, and now you're the city councilman. What the hell? So we still have carpetbaggers in this time in this day and time. But anyway, your mom's side is from Texas. Oh, thank you. And if you've heard me before, I have a Midwestern no accent, but having been around all these folks, all these years, I can't help but be, I can't help but be a little Southern in my drawl. Oh my God, I got a Southern drawl. I got Southern drawers. Never mind. But you can tell the damn Yankees down here. And even though originally, all them years ago, I was born in Ohio, I was raised down in the South. I mean, as a little kid, I was a Florida cracker, and proud of it. Then I moved up here to South Georgia, just across the line. And, and now I'm a Georgia redneck. I'm a redneck hippie, which is even worse. But you know, I'm still redneck in that you come down here to try to push your views on us, and I'll show you just how damn redneck I am. Now, I don't like violence or nothing like that, but go ahead, show your ass. I'm just saying, go ahead, show your ass, and and I'll show you mine. Anyway, my gun's bigger than your gun. I can't own a gun. I do have air gun weapons though that will hurt you, you know, and look like a real gun. So don't come down my driveway and think you're going to scare me. Uh-uh. Nope. Oh, besides, I've been busted with helicopters in the air and high powered rifles aimed at me, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation busting through my property down here just a little ways, all because I had 6 marijuana plants in buckets. Yep, it's true. I've been busted for marijuana being grown in buckets in my backyard by a I was going to say a Chinook helicopter, but it wasn't a Chinook. It was a Huey, like from Vietnam. And now I have known for a while what the Viet Cong must have felt like, because having that Huey sitting over me, I was like, oh, I just, having never been to Nam, but lots of friends of mine and stories from and movies, when that copter was above me and they're like, if you move, we will shoot your ass, over the loudspeaker. And I've got 6 marijuana. I got 6 buckets with a plant in each. And you're going to shoot me over that? And they were going to. So, and that's true. It's on the Georgia records, although the governor tried his best to. How much did he get? Well, they stretched it, but they caught me with just over an ounce of marijuana. A helicopter in the air for 45 minutes. You know how much that must have cost? plus the driver and the guy sitting with his high speed rifle, going to shoot me over some marijuana. Boy, I have. This is the truth, y'all. So I mean, I look at my life, but now it's like, good God Almighty, I survived that and 2 heart attacks last week. Wow, I must be some kind of special piece of shit to still be here and not be shot or or whatever. Um, they did the raid many moons ago, uh, in the '80s somewhere. I can't remember now, but the idea that a lot of these things I have faced firsthand, and I still want to go ahead, y'all. you know, make your move, bitch. I'm an old feisty son bitch. What are you going to do to me now? I've already been to jail and done this and done that. Don't want to go back, mind you. But if you think I'm doing something illegal and you want to come down here and just make a mess of your day, then come on, bitch. Now, I'm not doing anything illegal other than my little peace pipe, which is still illegal here in Georgia. It'd be really nice if they would legalize smoking of weed after all these years. But it has been a continuing misdemeanor in the state of Georgia. So if you get caught with less than an ounce, it's a misdemeanor. They just give you a fine. They don't steal your driver's license. But if it's 1 gram over that ounce, then they're going to take your driver's license. They're going to make you do community service. They're going to make you attend an alcohol driving thing to get your license back. You have to pay a fine for that. You have to pay for the class, which is several $100s. I know because I took it. But anyway, so I see stuff in the news that the police do to people. Now, I was very close to getting shot. I mean, I was face down in a fire ant bed down here in the woods. And it wasn't until that jackass GBI agent was holding me down, got the fire ants on him. And he's dancing around in the briar patch, woo, like Mr. Bear and, Brer Fox and Brer Bear and Brer Rabbit. Woo, Lord, have mercy, these ants be hurting me. Brer Rabbit, what do I do? I said, you done gotten that, in that fire ant there bed, Bear Fox. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Let me pulling the shirt off and taking the trousers off and running out of the woods, trying to get them fire ants off of them and bitching at me because I won't hold still, you know. And the GBI agent's like, serves you right, bitch. Karma's a quick turnaround here. You would think that the governor, oh, he did make an executive order. There were people that thought that I had turned state's evidence on somebody because I went to court. They said, no, no, Mr. No, we're sentencing, you've been arrested, blah, blah, blah. Do you plead guilty to this? Yep, click, bang, bye. You've got 5 years probation, pay the judge. And I was out. And people was like, wait a minute. You got busted by the GBI with a helicopter. Yeah. And all you got was probation. Yeah. Who did you rat on? I said, nobody. When the governor, because I was on Georgia Public News, David Wayne Null arrested. First time the GBI has ever caught anybody in a field of marijuana. 6 plants in 6 buckets. Big field, right? Um, the governor said, you did this for an ounce of weed? How much was that ounce of weed worth? Well, it was homegrown. It was really dry. And it wasn't, I told the guys, I said, dumbass, you should have waited a couple of weeks till it budded out a little bit. All you got was leaves. And so they had a hard time getting over an ounce of weed with what was growing. And so the governor was like, don't want to talk about it. Well, what happened to that guy that got us? Nothing. Oh, he's been taken care of. blah, blah, blah. It just don't want to hear about this. So within 10 days of being busted by helicopters, my case was already settled. District court, just like that, downtown Moultrie. And I was like, whoo wee, that was close. Because they could have made it a lot worse, but Georgia law, they really couldn't. And the governor was so embarrassed. The GBI, the local sheriff's department was so embarrassed. It's like, Dave, we've known for a while that you smoke weed down there. You're sort of our resident hippie down there in this part of the county, but you don't never hurt anybody. You're not out selling it, which is all true. I didn't want to sell it to nobody. It was for my own consumption. Oh, but at, as I'm going into town to jail from the GBI, they don't normally put you in the front seat with your handcuffs in front of you. It's, they normally have you in the back with the thingy and the thingy. And no, I sat up front with the lieutenant from the county. And we had a nice little chat going into town. He goes, we could, we know you smoke weed. Don't worry about it. But if you really want to grow it, you should go to Alaska. That's how far back it was. Now, I think to myself and how the GBI treated me in my own house and so forth, and how the local guys treated me, and it was totally different. The local the lieutenant sheriff, he was the assistant deputy. He was the deputy sheriff versus the sheriff. Anyway, he's a lieutenant, really nice guy. And he goes, man, I really hate to bust you. We got paperwork and this, and you didn't have much weed, did you? And I was like, no. He goes, well, they had to bust you because they had the helicopters flying and they noticed your backyard. And I was like, well, crap. He goes, why did you use that yellow bucket anyway? And I was like, because I had, three green ones and a blue one and a yellow one. Why? He said, because they said they could see that yellow bucket for miles up in the air and at the right angle. And I was like, no shit, huh? And I was, so next time I do this, I'm going to paint them buckets, which I did. But it took me 5 years before I got off probation, before I felt calm enough to try to grow any more weed. Hey, Steve, how are you? But I mean, I'm telling you the truth. It had been a treat down here. I used to run drugs from Tampa up here to my friends on the carnival, depending on where they were and whether we were Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. And so I grew up on the carnival, just quote, normal carny kid, smoking cigars at the age of 13 and drinking near beer all day long. I could drink almost a case of near beer myself. It was near beer we called 2% or whatever it was in Florida, or 1%, whatever. And you got up here into Alabama and to Georgia where the beer was literally twice as strong. So you could drink a case of beer and maybe catch a buzz. I don't know what the alcohol content is now because I quit drinking years ago. But, back when I was a kid, we didn't have to go sneak a beer. They'd go, hey, go over to Cool there and get you and me a beer. Okay, over I'd go and I'd get me and them a beer, 15 years old. But, anyway, so my being able to see life from that side, plus being a Catholic altar boy and go and do not necessarily a prestigious school, but they taught us well. And, little did they know that I was making hooch in the, in the new gym in the ceiling. We were making wine. And I made wine when I was in jail. Learned how to make a good, jailhouse wine. And Lord have mercy, give you the runs and clean you right out. Let me tell you what. But in the news today, yes, weed was very less potent back then. Hey, Chloe. Oh, probation. I didn't really have too much trouble with probation because I realized it was other people who had trouble with probation. Why do I say that? It's because it was simple. Do you want to go to jail, Dave? No. I've already spent a year in jail. Don't want to go back. Then you have probation. So what does that mean? It means you got to stay out of trouble. Well, what does that mean? Well, you can't be caught in any bars. Okay. You can't be out on the streets. You can't be out of curfew. Okay. So that means I can stay home and get drunk and stoned. And as long as I don't go anywhere, I'm okay. Pretty much. So I just said, lock the gate at the top of the hill, stayed down here, got drunk and partied, just didn't go anywhere. I didn't have any problem with 5 years of probation. Everybody's like, oh my God, probation. I was like, man, y'all stupid. You get caught out and trying to go to the bar and trying to. I'm sorry, I missed going to the bar back then, but if it meant going to jail or going to the bar, I'm not going to the bar. I'm gonna make me a bar out here in the country, which it did, and invited people, and we had bonfires and big ass parties while I was on probation. Well, but I'm not on the street. I'm on my own property. I got 18 acres of it, so I could party down there in the woods. Come get me, motherfucker. And they go, there's a lot of noise coming out from down there in the woods. Wonder who it is. Well, David Knoll owns this property. Can you see where they are? Now, this has really happened. No. Well, they're making noise. It's coming out down the hill and out there in the woods. Well, if they down there and out there in the woods, we can't stop him. He's on his own property. And my neighbors up at the top of the hill have bitched for years because there ain't nothing they could do about it. I'm on my own property down in the woods. So the music was a little too loud. We had a big ass bonfire. We didn't hurt nobody. Probation or not. So, there are folks who just can't survive anything because they don't know the workarounds. They refuse to say, well, so I was always on time. I was always made sure I was respectable to the guy who was signing my paper about probation. And why do I want to piss him off? I needed a job, had to have a job, so I went to work. That was just natural. But the idea that somehow, all these young punks would be talking back to to the officer, And I told this one kid that I knew, I said, why do you persist? Well, I just don't like the guy. Well, I don't like him either, but go ahead, piss him off one more time, and you're going to end right back up in the slammer. And no, 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 blah, blah, blah. And well, you're already late. You haven't paid your dues. What do you think's going to happen? I don't know. I ain't going to take nothing from that motherfucker. I'll tell him exactly what I think. And they took him to jail that afternoon. And I was like, go ahead, piss him off. So we had the same probation officer. And I went in and so they got old rascal writing. Yeah. He said, I kept telling him, and he said he just wouldn't shut up about you ain't gonna tell me what to do, brother. And he goes, I said, okay, I ain't gonna tell you, and you ain't gonna tell me because this is your fifth violation. Adios. And they took him straight to the jail, put him in the back of a car, and took him. Bye bye. And so there are people that are just obstinate to the point of they're beyond stupid. White, black, Hispanic, it don't matter. They're just stupid. I ain't gonna do what the man tell me. Okay, suffer for it. Go ahead. They got you, bitch. They got your number. You're in the jail. I'm in the jailhouse now. I'm in the jailhouse now. Mom don't know twice. And do them looking eyes. I'm in the jailhouse now. I doing better after replacing two more. Oh, you got two replaced? Holy crap, Steve. Yeah, this little one I got from my neighbor yesterday, it's on high, which ain't real high. It's a small AC, but it hasn't really cooled the house down a lot. from just what it was doing naturally, but it has absolutely cleaned the water out of the room for me. I'm breathing better this last 24 hours since my neighbor put the AC in for me. But anyway, that UAC and me too. Hey Joe, I tried weed myself. Every time I was aware of multiple dimensions at once, my mind was so overwhelmed that I went to sleep. Yeah, but there were some good dreams in there too. Now, Gerald, with all due respect, I was chained to a 6'6", 300+ pound pulpwood nigger of a man who was in for his third murder, and I was chained to him to go to court. Now here's my now back then I was like 145 pounds soaking wet. I'm 175 pounds now, much younger then. But he looked down at me and said, "You white some bitch, you listen to me." And he talked about like this. He said, "When we get to the courthouse, you're gonna run with me. And if you don't keep up with me, I'm gonna rip your fucking arms off." And I looked up and I said, "Yes, sir." you know. So this idea that, he should have been in jail. How I how he was in jail for his third murder? Because he was on the docket on the same day that I went to jail. And us prisoners from the county, we all got chained together with our little stainless steel, junky. But then when you get into the vehicles, you're chained to someone. And then me and him was chained together, and two other guys and we were all chained. We were all chained together with a giant chain together. And so there's 20 of us doing the Jap step walk, all chained together and all chained up. I mean, yeah. So, but he was serious. This guy, he said he was talking then when we were in the bullpen area before they chained us, that he had talked to his buddy, and they was going to meet us on the corner of the courthouse downtown in Tampa, and he was going to have a car. And then he looked over at me and he goes, if you don't run, motherfucker, I'm gonna rip your arms off. And I was like, I can run. I'm a pretty good runner. I was on the track team once. And but the idea that I have met some violent people that, I'm sorry, they don't need to be on the street. They need a frontal lobotomy or something. They need a poker up their ass. I don't know what they need, but they don't need to be on the street, especially when the when. And now this was back in 1979. Okay. And I've often wondered over the years, like, because I used to play cards with, somebody's, the one guy that I was in jail with there in the kitchen, and you know, he was a great cook from down Louisiana way. He was had been incarcerated in Louisiana, also in one of the famous prisons there in Texas. Little Joe, who was my partner, he'd been he was from West Dallas, and little Mexican man, funny as hell, nice guy, but he would stab you in a heartbeat. He would just he would be on you like stank on shit, and would stab you, hurt you, and that's what got him in trouble. And the Bayou boy, um, he did most of his stabbing and shooting playing cards, and so don't don't cross him. Well, I've been up since 4. Howdy, Steve. Thank you, thank you. Looking forward to my. Y'all give Steve a good hand and a prayer, because He made sure that I'm going to have a um, blood pressure cuff, and he sent it to me, and I should get it by Friday. Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. So thumbs up for you, Steve. Yeah, I agree, Joe. But they put people people who's written bad checks end up with murderers when they throw them in the jails. Um, the jailers are a totally different breed of people. And if you piss one of them jailers off, they're going to put you with some nasty people. Go ahead, bitch at him. Go ahead. Well, officer, I don't know why you've arrested me. And, oh, watch this. And, there's this one tiny little white punk kid they throw in there with 15 black men who going to rape the shit out of him. And that used to happen a lot. They raped this poor boy all night long, and you can hear him scream from the third floor to the first floor. And did they do anything about it? No. They think it's fucking funny. Oh, that little wimpy kid, ha ha ha. We'll show him. And then the next day they separate him and put him out, take him out of population, and they find him hung in his cell. Well, we don't know what this happened 3 times at least when I was in Hillsborough County, at least 3 times. But I think it was several more than that because they had a couple of cases where there was young men who'd been arrested for baby raping. And they'd take that motherfucker and throw him in a cell with some showing up big ass black men, and they would tear him up one side and down the other all night long, screaming and hollering. And there'd be people in the cells next to him cheering him on. And yeah, that's what prison can be like. Now, but they did that to people who were in there for passing bad checks or something like that. So if you was arrested for a crime that made you a criminal, and from the jailer's point of view, it didn't matter the crime, you were going to do the time. You broke the law, bitch, you're going to serve. And whether it was nothing but one thing, uh, but while I was in, them jailers pulled some nasty shit that just literally wasn't humane. So the penal system, Lord Jesus, it needs reformed. In other countries, unless you've done a violent crime, if you smoke weed or something like that, what should you do? Instead of be a burden on society, they should make you go home, keep your job. Okay, maybe it's a drug test every other day or something, whatever it is, but you keep your job, and on the weekends to make sure that you're learning 1 or 2 hours a day on like a Saturday, you're going to attend a class to try to get off of whatever it is that you've been arrested for. If it was checks, then they have classes about that, financing and how to keep from doing it, how to live within your means. Oh no, you write a bad check, they throw your ass in jail for 30 days. You lose your job, you lose your family, you lose your rights, and then when you get out, you ain't got shit. That's what they do. A lot of reform. Should some people be incarcerated for a little while? Yeah, but we need a better system. We really do. Oh, that is another good one. My brother worked as a guard at Autry State Prison, which is not too far from where I live here. It's over near Pelham. And all in all, it ain't bad. I mean, folks live in decent quarters that's done off in pods kind of thing. Uh, they do have time, uh, quote, yard time, where that year that I spent, I couldn't go outside at all. I didn't, there was no exercise period. It was 7 days a week, working in the kitchen. But I got out and I was facing 20 years. So a year in county, cheers. But I worked out a deal with the sergeant in the kitchen. He needed somebody reliable, and he come to find out, he goes, "No, where'd you come from, boy?" I said, "Berlin, Georgia." "What?" "I was raised around Ellington," which was like 12 miles away. And so I was living in the neighborhood where he grew up, and he was retired Navy, uh, showing up a sergeant and a sergeant of the kitchen too. And on Sundays he would come in to do the menus and ordering and everything for Monday that went out first out. Carrots, potatoes, whatever we needed for the week. Because we fed over 700 people 3 times a day, 7 days a week. It was a full-fledged showing up a mission to get food out. And we serve good food, Jack. Let me tell you, we serve good food. But Sarge would be in there, and he'd go to church on Sundays and come up the elevator, and I could hear, "No, where's my sweet potatoes?" He bought us, he and I, a case of sweet potatoes that has its own little place in a cooler. And on Sundays he would come in, and I love deep fried sweet taters myself. And I'd slice them up just like French fries kind of thing. And I'd have him, and when he'd walk out of that elevator, they'd hit that grease, and whoosh. But he said, "My old lady won't let me have him at the house." Hey, because he looked like Humpty Dumpty. I'm not lying. He looked like Humpty Dumpty, and but he would come in there, and I would have this big platter that was like this tall, full of freshly sliced and fried sweet potatoes, and he would take the sugar and put sugar on the top, and we'd sit in there and do the menu and put our feet put our feet up and talk about bullshit from South Georgia, where he was from, and when he was a little kid. And so my Sundays were, with Sarge. But he went to bat for me, and he said, "If you'll work for me for a year, I'll get the judge to give you county time instead of state," which made everything different for me. I'd have to serve X amount of days, which I'd have been in for over 2 years at least, instead of the 11 months and how it wasn't quite a year, but it was really close, like 15 days. They let me out a little early for good behavior and all. But I made the deal with the sergeant of the kitchen. He went to bat for me with uh, Judge Miller at the time in Tampa was one of the circuit judges, because my crime was, a really big one that they were going to give me 20 years for, for the amount of what we had, but it was pure MDA. It was some of the cleanest snort I've ever had, and get you high. I don't like to brag about drugs, but and I have bought and sold cocaine and acid and mushrooms. I had developed a way to dry mushrooms and put them in plastic bags and wrap them up. So I didn't have any weed up here, and I knew folks in Tampa that did. And so when I'd go back to visit family and stuff, I would take dried mushrooms, really the real deal psilocybin mushrooms, and trade it for weed, and then come back to Georgia. But when my pops died and other things, and I haven't been to Tampa. Well, I haven't been to Tampa in a couple of years now, but my truck hasn't worked, and I haven't been able to drive much, and the COVID thing, and all the above. But You know, I used to make a trip at least once a month to go visit family and friends in the old days. Then the plus the carnival business and stuff like that. So uh, I have moved pounds of weed, and not, I guess in total I've moved a pound or so of cocaine. Not at one time, ounces, yeah, but to move an ounce of cocaine, that's a lot of money, and it was back in the day. But and that's while keeping a job and trying to run a family and keeping the place here. That was just business and my own drug addiction. So I was able to provide for my own drug addiction by selling enough drugs to keep me in whatever drug I was using at the time, so I didn't have to pay for it. So the quote, my profit was what I did, and I did a lot. Um, I'm so glad I survived all that, but it's a good reason why 20% of my heart's mess is just not functioning right. So it is my own damn fault. Um, and who said is weed different? No, baby, I've got a brand new one, and you know what? I also have an aquarium pump that would probably work just as good. By the way, the it's sitting right behind me. But no, thank you, Miss Pearl. I got that covered, and a couple of other ones somebody came up with. Yeah, he is a heck of a guy. I'm telling you, Gerald. All y'all. That's why I said give the man some kudos. And I called him by accident yesterday because we had talked on Sunday, just two old guys, bullshitting. And then I called him yesterday. I hit read dial and was like, "Oh, Steve, hi, how you doing?" He goes, "Oh, since I got you on the phone, wanted to let you know there's a package in the mail for you." And I had to ask him because I know that there are other folks who were that they might have an extra pump thingy, right? And I used to have one, but the rats chewed holes in it, so it's useless. And it was old anyway. Um, and also one of those the things that put on your finger for your pulse and your O2, your oxygen level. And so, but anyway, so I asked him. I said, "So can I ask what the president is?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's a BP pump cup thingy." And I was like, "Oh, thank you, Jesus." I folks, when they ask me now, I can say one's on, has been ordered, and because wait a couple more days, that's okay. And I have now that I know that my blood pressure is low, that's giving me this really wild, crazy ride. I ain't gonna worry about whether or not I'm gonna pop a vein. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to do anything to push my blood pressure up, but at the same time, and just walking outside in the yard today, I was like, wow, I really feel different. It's sort of like a light feeling. I mean, light as a feather kind of feeling, in that, and I simply think it's because my blood is thinned out now to where it's flowing like it normally should have. All this time is like, holy crap. I made my head and headaches and feeling heavy and groggy all the time, which is how I felt until now. It's like, you mean I could have felt like this if I'd have just checked my damn blood pressure? Oh man, I got to get used to this because I don't want to overdo it. So I'm being careful, but boy, what a ride it's been! Just this medicine and just having my blood flowing right in my own body is like, are you kidding me? And me trying to be I'm meditating, gonna walk the red road and gonna, which I still do. I'm still not eating grease and stuff. I was talk with friends all the time. So, what's your diet like? Do you eat this? No, don't eat bacon of any kind. If it ain't bacon, then I don't want it. And I don't want bacon because it's pork and grease and fat. And once in a while, to have a BLT in the summertime, oh my God, there ain't nothing like it. But at the same time, I realized that if I want the longevity of life, there's certain things that I just, like big plates of sliced. When I was in jail, the big plates of sliced sweet potatoes with sugar all over them. It ain't the sweet tater, it's the sugar all over them. But oh man, I will still eat a sweet tater in a heartbeat. And they grow some of the best down here in South Georgia. Let me tell you. Oh man, and you can go to some of these farmers and buy culls. That's that the harrow hit and there's a ding on it for like next to nothing. And if you ask the right guy and you know where the right pile is when they're doing them in the fall, you can get a big box of them for like $2. You know what? Yeah, you just cut off the bad part and cook it anyway. It don't hurt nothing. But the plow hit it. Yeah, I know it looks bad in the grocery store. It's still a good tater. And you can buy it for next to nothing versus trying to buy the number ones. But um, yeah, sweet taters. Oh, I can't wait. You know, we're August now. The sweet taters, the peanuts are making right now. We've had just enough rain down here in South Georgia that the peanut fields I've been have driven by going back and forth to town. Oh my God, the peanuts look good this year. There ain't no corn planted though, which is interesting. I haven't been all over the county, but in the places where I've been through the county, it, there's usually like in my end, the Southwest Georgia part. In the southwest corner of Colquitt County, there's enough folks that when I drive through it, that it gives a good indication of what maybe the rest of the county's growing. I ain't seen no corn, but more peanuts and not as much cotton this year, which is okay. Let's focus not on clothing. The cotton is like, yeah, that's money. But when you can grow crops that grow food, that's different. So some of these farmers, they are about the money. They got to pay for their tractors and stuff. But I've noticed where instead of trying to just make money, they want to make money, but they also want to grow a product that makes sense. The corn down here that we have doesn't make it to the corn syrup anyway. The corn that grows down here are for feedlots. It's for the hogs and the cows and chickens and stuff. The there are millions of chickens down here. There are millions of chickens within a 3 mile radius of me where my house is. Humongous chicken farms. Because there is a chicken killing place in Moultrie, Georgia, run by one of the big name chicken farmer thingies. I think it's Sanders Farm, Sanderson Farms. But there are millions, I'm not joking, I'm not trying to pull your leg, millions of birds down here in South Georgia, of different kinds. My neighbor down here, they got together a couple of years ago and said, "Hey, Dave, yeah, we got some chickens for you." I said, "Okay." Went out to the back of the truck and they had this funky looking little cagey thing. And I looked in the cage and I went, "What are those?" And they said, "Chickens." And I said, "Oh, hell no. Those aren't chickens." Chickens don't have webbed feet. They look more like ducks and their breasts were just huge and dumb as a box of rocks. They gave me like 8 of them. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with them? Well, feed them whatever and eat them, pluck them. And I was like, yeah. And then they dropped them off and went away. The chickens were so stupid. They would not move from where I had set them down on the ground inside my big cage. They had plenty of room, fed them well. Uh, they died because they wouldn't move. They just sat there. And I put food in front of them. I put water in front of them, and they died. I mean, just flat out went out there the next day and they were keeled over. The other brothers and sisters walked around this chicken, but never got. If I had to move that feed dish another 2 or 3 inches, they all ended up dying anyway. But they wouldn't feed themselves, wouldn't go to the water, which was like from me arm's length from the chicken. The ugliest, nastiest, wouldn't eat them in the world, and that's what folks are. Oh man, I love my chicken nuggets. If you saw what they looked like before you got, I quit eating them. Uh, Chicken nuggets and stuff like that. A fried chicken where I can get a thigh or a leg, I know it's a thigh or a leg. But when you get chicken nuggets and stuff like that, you ain't got a clue what what that bird looked like before you got that nugget. And Chick-fil-A, I won't go there. I mean, I just won't, you know. Ooh, Chick-fil-A. Well, y'all go eat them damn birds, because I live down here where we grow them sons of bitches. I wouldn't feed one of them birds to my dog. And I love my dog. That's like when I worked on a hog farm. Hogs are smart. They really are. And chickens are too, except these dumbass things they're raising now. I raised chickens for 30 years just for my own eggs. Couple here, couple there. Then I really got into production. And now I haven't had chickens in years, but I want to get my pens back up because eggs is where it's at. Get some good roosters and a couple of good hens, and you make your own. Um, you make your own breed, and you hatch your own chickens, and then those chickens, breed, and you put them, and you have the eggs, and you make your own chickens, and you don't have to worry about anything in between. And with eggs, you always have protein. You can do lots of stuff with eggs, but once you kill that chicken, that's that. That's fine. But the chickens that I had, some of them I had were 5 and 6 years old. And for a chicken to be 6 years old and still laying, they would have moved that bird out, killed it, and brought in some new fresh meat. But over the years, I raised chickens because they were just chickens, not because, well, he's not, Henrietta ain't put out an egg in 4 or 5 days. Nah, she's having issues with her period, and then she'd be come back in there and sit on her little nest and lay 2 eggs in one day. Big old son of guns, too. And she'd be back in production. Oh, but them folks that count them eggs and who's doing what, they'd have snatched Henrietta out a long time out of that. But for what Henrietta ate, I really honestly had a chicken named Henrietta. I said, for what Henrietta ate and the amount of eggs that I got out of her, even when she wasn't producing, it wasn't worth killing her or pulling her out of the group. But anyway, my perspective on livestock and stuff like that much different than other people. But they'd say, "Well, why don't you eat the chickens?" And I said, "Because I'd rather eat the eggs. Y'all are just dumb. Well, I'm gonna get chickens to pluck and eat. You ever pluck the chicken? I mean, you again chicken plucker. It ain't easy. It ain't fun. Chopping the heads off and watching them plop around the is not my idea of fun. And I don't need to have fried chicken that badly. I'd rather have the eggs and make a quiche, seriously. But anyway, I don't eat much chicken nuggets. It's either leg, thigh, breast, and wings. Now, here's the thing: if you're buying chicken breasts from somewhere, because the chickens they gave me were raised for their breast, and they have been mixing duck genetics with the chickens because ducks have big breasts because I raised ducks here too. And these things looked like a duck, but they were supposed to be chickens, and they were nothing but breast. They were deformed. And I was like, ooh, oh, these chickens go to, you know, the breed of chickens that these farmers around here grow for, they are specifically grown for the breast. There's a particular type of chicken, its genetics are such and such, and blah, 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 right? Uh, but oh my God, I would not eat the breast of a chicken. I wouldn't eat just a chicken breast. Now, what do I mean? If you get a whole chicken and bake the chicken, I love a chicken breast. It'd be like the whole turkey versus, oh, a turkey breast. You really don't know what that turkey looks like. Now, they don't mess with turkeys near as much as they have with the chicken population. But oh my God, if you could see the distortion like chicken wings. Holy mackerel, to make the chicken wings be bigger, but no, they ain't eating chicken wings neither. But leg and thigh off a normal chicken. So for me, if I'm going to have chicken myself, and I do, I can have baked chicken in the backyard off a grill with some oak wood and smoke that sucker. But I get a chicken, the whole thing, so I know what it looks like, and bake that sucker, or cut it up and fry it, or uh, you know, I love chicken and rice. Chicken and yellow rice. Oh my God, to die for. But to just buy a breast of a chicken without seeing the chicken, nah, I personally ain't gonna do it. But the chicken breast of a whole chicken, a fryer chicken, yeah, go ahead, because you know what it looks like. They're just fryer hens, and they leave them alone because by the time they get to the store, they still have to look like a fryer hen. You know, if you're growing a chicken for its legs and it's got no breast, you say, or just the wings, or however this goes, they've got a particular hybrid that well, and I don't really mind it that they've got a hybrid for these, one's for wings and one for breast and one, but they're uglier and nastier than all get out, because I've raised chickens for a particular color egg and for the laying strength, but that's for the egg, you know it's not for the chicken itself. But anyway, in my own experience, especially with these farms around here and having literally hands on, I would stay away from just a chicken breast or something like that. Uh, just because it's the way the chicken looks. I mean, when you stare at them and you look at them and go, oh my God, you mean that's what they, no, I don't want it. And raising pork, when I worked for the farmers that I did, and washing down the slab, every day, and watching them little porkers look at you and everything, but the idea that they will eat them their own. They are nasty animals. The and we've got wild boar in the backyard now, which I really would like to go hunting them. I'm not really much into like deer, like literally 70 feet from the house out here, roaming back and forth up in the yard and against the woods over there, where normally they stay pretty much in the back, and you have to kind of go looking for them. They're just walking through my yard now, which is interesting. But they just moseying around, cogitating, by the way. Um, but the wild hogs are back in the back, in the swampy areas where it kind of sort of should be. But uh, I've had wild hog, and some people say, well, it's gamey. Yeah, okay, but you got to know also how to clean the some bitch. The hogs, all animals have gonads one way or the other, but they've got scent glands. And if you hit one of them scent glands by accident, if you don't know where they are on the animal, you will taint that meat and might as well just throw it away. Then you can't cook it out of it. But now with wild boar, with wild hog, if you smoke them, that meat, like not necessarily like they did in the old days with the smoke house, but that is what I mean. You can get that effect on a grill if you just take your time. And with a lot of oak and um, pecan wood around here, and other wood too, but to roast something, smoke it real slow on a wood coals, like a good solid oak. And oh, there are people who want to cook with this and that, but I have I cooked turkeys one year for Thanksgiving. I told them, I said, you buy the turkey, I'll smoke it. And I've set up, I had 5 turkeys back here in the back that all night long I smoked them turkeys with the wood that I had. And you talk about fall off the bone, melt in your mouth, something that you will just slap your mama to have some. You know, just by slow cooking it over the coals. Man, oh man. But that's the way you do it. So people say, well, I tried to fry some, or I tried to do this. Yeah, but if you're going to kill one like that and you want the smoke flavor, if there is a little gaminess to it, it adds to the smoky. It's, it complements it rather than sticks out. Now I'm gonna put it in the house and stick it in the oven and roast it at 425 for 4.5 hours, and then you wonder why it don't taste right, because that's not how you cook the damn thing, So, come to think of it, is I'm sitting here talking about, roasting something over the oak. Well, actually, to smoke it, it's a closed fire, but I haven't grilled anything in a while. I think when I go to the store, I might go find me a whole chicken and put it out there on the grill, because doing some smoked chicken, especially with some homemade barbecue sauce, uh, you know, done sort of Louisiana style a little bit, and put on the grill. Darling, come on over. You bring some tater salad and I'll share. We'll have a sit down and eat. But it's about, I feel up for it. Interesting how had been so groggy recently, and for myself, having these damn heart attacks and going through this shit, talk about waking me up. But it's awakening me in a different kind of way. The grass is greener, and that's odd. And maybe it's because maybe my medicine start to kick in. Oh my God, it's been an hour. Oh my God, it's been over. Oh shit, I've been rattling on for a while, ain't I? Oh my God, I have been. I am high, and I ain't smoked that much. Ooh, Lordy, have mercy on me. How? What time is it anyway? Oh, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. You call all chickens Henrietta, Chloe. Return to Oz, huh? I'm not sure where Henrietta came in from my end. I can't speak for Costco, but here's the thing about chickens in general. If you can see the whole thing, you're better off. Okay. If you're getting parts, you're tossing a coin. Now, um, all chickens, no matter what, are fed chicken feed, and they all have certain things in them. Now, the antibiotics and stuff like that with some of the farmers I've talked to around here, where you think they're getting injected with stuff, just it ain't really that bad. The farmers around here ain't stupid, okay? They don't, if they don't want to eat them, but now it's the breed of the chicken, like the chicken breast. Okay, well, yeah, well, these are breasted chickens. Yeah, yeah, that's what they look like. It's not that they shot them up with something to make them look like that. They were bred with ducks to look like that. And so the genetic parts, and then once they get the chickens going, then they've got whole farms that do nothing but raise the eggs that makes the chickens for the breast that go into the thingies. The production. So it's not like um, they're not making Franken chickens in the sense that every time there's a brood, because they have to have thousands of these chickens when they fill one of these barns, and there are hundreds of the barns. That's why there's millions of chickens. But it's the idea that now that they've got, and there's patents for them, now that they've gotten these patented chickens to have large breast or whatever, the the basic fryer hen, the basic chicken on that would go on a rotisserie, um, that's like a stock version that's been around for a long time. So they don't have to mess with the genetics on it. It's a good stock of chicken, okay? So they raise that chicken with roosters and hens, lay the eggs, they do the thing, they hatch them out, and it becomes it's grown as a fryer hen. So it could be a cross between a Rhode Island Red and something else, right? So and fryer hens are basic. They will lay eggs. They just get them before they go to laying, and they turn them into fryers. So a lot of the chickens that are the fryers are hen layers or egg layers. So I'd say yeah, because I've raised my own hen layers, from chicken to chicken, without going into some kind of ooh. Now they will feed them well, and there are different types of mixes, but they want to feed the chickens as cheap as possible. So a lot of times these chicken houses, local farmers will grow the grain. They need so many pounds or bushels of corn to feed this one barn of chickens for one session, right? Till they get to this size, clean them out, start over, and then a whole new brood from chicky chick up to we got to take them. All right, so the local farmers grow the corn or grow the feed, which is sometimes it's mixed with a millet, sort of like a soybean. So there are different grains, not just corn. And these other grains are easier to grow because they're more like weeds, and you get just the tops, right? And you can mow it, and then you can sell the hay to that also as well. So there are different ways to feed the chickens without them having a big expenditure. So they've got a large farm over here, but they've also got part of that farm is growing the feed for the chickens are growing. And so it's their own corn, not necessarily GMO, but it will be, depending on the farm, it will be a particular type of corn because how well it grows in the area. Okay. Is it a GMO? Maybe. But the quote GMO corn around here is just nothing but a hybrid of two corns mixed naturally. And it has a big kernel, it's got a something, and it's easy to grow around here. That's the criteria. Okay. Will it grow around here? Can it withstand a drought? Because we're a lot of times in South Georgia, it's hotter and not as much water. Can it withstand that? versus the kind of corn they grew up in Iowa and Ohio and up in there. Oh my God, the fields of corn in Ohio. Oh, I just, what? We don't have that down here. There are fields of corn, but just we got bigger fields of peanuts, than corn. But anyway, as far as the corn down here, it's not going into the national corn market. Different type altogether. It's a feedlot grade. You can still go and pick you some, and when it's ripe and ready, and it's good, but it ain't sweet corn, you know. Uh, and sweet corn ain't for feed, you know. So there are silos all around here. Some of them they're different sizes. I have put up a silo or two back in the day to help a farmer out. Um, that will hold, a couple of thousand bushels of corn. So they put it in a small brown silo and, buy from the local farmer whatever they don't grow themselves, mix in whatever grain, and as it comes out, they run it through grinders that gets fed to the livestock and the chickens. So these farms around here, what some of y'all might be thinking about this GMO thing, no, it's just really weird looking ass chickens. Okay, that's what bothers me. But like I said, a fryer, you know, a whole chicken, Costco or Walmart or whatever. If it's a whole chicken and you can see that bitch and it don't look deformed, I think you're pretty much good to go. I mean, as far as some of the rest of the population of chickens. And I'm not here to say that the deformed ones are going to kill you. I just don't want, no, no, I don't want to eat that. No, no, no. I'm sorry. I'm having flashbacks, PTSD on chickens. But I don't want, y'all eat what you want to. Now, Sanders farming around here, knowing quite a few of the farmers around here actually, and because I've lived here for over 40 years before there were even chicken houses to grow these things. I mean, I've watched it grow around me. And hang on. I mean, if somebody had a two-headed chicken that was running around, but I mean, they had a whole flock of two-headed chickens, and they said, these two-headed chickens are really good because I sure love to suck on me some neck bone of a chicken. Now, when I was a kid, Granny would cook up chicken, and there was just something about the neck bone, the meat around the neck bone. Ain't much, but just sucking it off that neck bone, and especially with some mashed taters and Granny's homemade dumplings. Oh my God, that is something I want to learn how to do before I die. I want to be able. I've got some of my Granny's kettleware and what she used to cook in back when I was a kid, and I would love to make one batch of dumplings, chicken and dumplings like Granny used to make. Now it might take me 100 tries, but I would like to have at least one because her she made her own dough, just rolled out flour, and I would sit there and she'd cut them up in squares and whatever and drop them right into the broth. But Granny's dumplings, all of us agreed to have Granny's dumplings back in the day. We're like, you just can't get this at a store. Now the closest I ever come was the chicken and dumplings they have at Cracker Barrel, sort of, but not quite as far as the texture, but the taste and the thing. Now they're making them in big vats and stuff. It ain't the same as Granny's, But the first time I ate at Cracker Barrels, which is a long time ago, and I haven't been there much since, but I was like, these almost taste like Granny's. Now, the next time I had them in another store, in another place, I ordered the same chicken and dumplings. Didn't taste like the first place I had them, and was further from Granny's dumplings. But anyway, yeah, before I die, I want to I want to try to make one batch of Granny's dumplings. But I do think that the stock of chicken that I've seen that they use for just chicken, a whole chicken, is a good breed stock. And like I said, they're layer hens. They just get them before they start laying. They get a certain weeks old and they're out of there. And but they're mostly, if they were to have harvested them, they would become chicken layers and produce eggs. So, and some of them chickens are nice and big and plump and everything. I had a cross of Rhode Island Red and something else. Beautiful chick. Oh, black sex link. Oh my God, big chickens. Like if I was going to kill one and eat it, and them things are big chickens. So they'll use a breed like that. Like I said, they're layer chickens. I mean, they're layers, but just end up being fryers instead. So um, the brand of chicken where you get them, if you're at a store and could get something localer, like that there is a regional chicken processing plant, I would go, I would use that one. And you say, well, why is that, Dave? It's because the bigger the organization, the easier it is to have mistakes made, period. Okay. Costco, big plants, this plant, shit goes wrong quick. Okay. But if you've got smaller operations like they have down here in South Georgia before they moved all these other chicken farms in, um, uh, one of the local ones was Kegel's. You could always bet on a Kegel's chicken because it was locally grown, locally fed, local people worked at the local Kegel's. And, over in Camilla, Georgia, I think they do still have a Kegel's over there. And it's bigger and newer equipment, but I used to deliver parts. I used to deliver parts, electrical parts and things to the one Kegel's over in Camilla many, many years ago. So in the local stores, oh, it's a Kegel's chicken. You were good. And because local people, they kept, I mean, it was just you support your local groups. And to this day, that's still what I do. The chickens and stuff over in Coolidge, it comes from local farmers. They don't bust it in from all over the place. But now the beef has been local or Western beef for a long time. I've been given a business. I've lived here 40 years. They've been getting my business for 40 years. And the meat and stuff I had in my stuff tonight was from Kegel's. Nice and tender, nice juicy little steak was about 450. I had two of them, uh, T-bone type steaks. Duggar got the bones and all the fat around the edges, and it made sort of a brown gravy with some mushrooms and onion, and the potatoes I had were new potatoes that I'd grown out here in the front yard this early in the spring, and I forgot that I had them, that I dug them up, and man, they were good. Yum yum, boiled them puppies up, threw some butter in there, and a little bit, and mashed them puppies up real good, and then put that stuff over there. I had a good supper tonight and very simple. And I grew my own potatoes. Now, I don't have that many left, but boy, that I got enough for tomorrow. I've had two good helpings today, So, I need to plant some more taters out there and clean up that garden. But I got to be careful with my ticker for the moment. But there are simple things that you can do. The taters I was growing was like in a flower bed. And, there were tulips and stuff coming up along the same thing down there. And I just took some taters that looked like they was going bad and took them out there in the yard and just added them in and covered them up. And I had part of them today and they was absolutely delicious. Um, the the red ones with the thin skins on them. Yeah, new potatoes we call them. It's an hour and 50 minutes. Selective breeding ain't bad to compared to hacking the DNA. Absolutely, absolutely. Now there are folks out there making Franken chickens. Don't get me wrong, but they have. That's why I say the breasts. Oh, those things. Oh God. Now could they have DNA messed with them? You betcha. How do you mix a duck with a chicken? You've done something funky. But to get a big bird simply because of this breed and that breed, and the hen and the rooster get together and go bumpity bump, and you make an egg, and that chicken is the egg that you like between these two. That's just they've been doing that for a long time, messing with that. But them breasted ones, I swear to God, I think somebody's in a lab somewhere going, "It's alive!" Them things look creepy. And the parts that they make for chicken, I've worked for folks as an engineer, and there's one particular place in middle Georgia, and my friend that passed away that did all the chemical work on cleaning water. He also worked with processing plants, and one of them that made like nuggets. They take and boil the chicken until it just falls off. And it's easy to separate the bones. They actually make a slurry. Yes, a slurry. Add a lot of water, and you take the little chicken pieces, and the bones will stay towards the bottom, and you can inject air into the slurry, and it will make these little chicken parts bubble up. All right, so they can separate the bones from whatever chicken or whatever they turn into the slurry. So big vats just cook this mess up, and the slurry takes the stuff off. So there's these little particles of chicken floating around. And now what do you do with the chicken? It's still chicken, right? But if you can see the grain and the tendon on if you peel the chicken off, right? Yay long, so forth. Okay, so now all of this has been separated and is now in this stream of chicken slurry. So to reclaim it, they force it down into higher pressure, smaller areas, and they squeeze it through a strainer. I was like, what? So they basically, there's this slurry of chicken. And now imagine it's in this form like you would use to make cookies, like, and, a certain amount of squeeze and it comes out and it plops it out, plops it out, plops it out. So you want to get these chicken tenders or whatever they look like, frozen goodies. They have cooked the chicken into a slurry, goes through the system. Oh, it's fully cooked and everything. It ain't nothing really wrong with it. But to get it to fit in the package, it goes through a mold. It literally gets just shot through a screen, and sometimes square, sometimes it depends on what they want the end product to look like, right? But it squeezes it out like dough for a cookie, like doing, 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 and it's just chicken slurry that gets compacted and squeezed into the shapes they want. And then it goes into now they're already cooked, okay? Because they have it has to be cooked and heated in order to turn into this slurry. When I said, "What's that?" He goes, "A chicken McNugget." And I went, "No." And he goes, "Watch this." And we walked down the line, and this slurry chicken bone stuff, ning, 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 ning. A chicken McNugget. There's one, and there's one, and there's one, and there's one. And I went, "Oh my fucking God, I'll ever need another one." But is there anything unhealthy about it? No, it's just the way they do it. Okay, when you see the process, you go, I don't know, I don't know. So now, in sitting here thinking about it, because having been in quite a few different processing plants over my lifetime, a lot of them having to do with like meat processing. There are folks that I would eat a hot dog. Oh, really? It goes through this thing. Well, I've I've used to go in the Likes Brothers down in Tampa all the time and get fresh hot dogs for Boy Scout stuff and things like that. Growing up, my pops was a meat cutter. My grandpops on the Raleigh side of the family, he was a butcher. So at the age of 7, 8, 9, I'm standing in where they're in literally a slaughterhouse. I mean, they're killing cows over here. And by the time they go down this stream and back and down and out, they're coming into where I'm standing. And, the cow's in half and it gets laid on a slab. They cut it up into the different pieces. They take this and that, and it goes over here into stainless steel. There's ladies working across the aisle, literally across the aisle, and they take these big vats of the different fats and stuff off the cow, and so much they know by eyesight how much fat to add to it. It goes into a grinder and up a chute and turns into hot dogs within minutes of the cow being dead. It's being turned into hot dogs. And there are people like, "Oh my God, hot dogs are made of, you never know what kind of meat." And no, wait, hang on. I got to stop right there because I've seen hot dogs being made from several different companies. All, now I've not seen directly pork hot dogs or chicken hot dogs, but because I have seen all beef hot dogs being made, I can say that I seriously doubt they would make it any more complicated because you want what's coming off, if it's chickens, you want whatever's coming off the line to go right in there. It's not going to sit or do, and we're going to, nah, 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 nah. It gets mixed right away. There's, uh, there's, depending on the type of hot dog, they get smoked. So and worked into the skins, and they're made right away. So people used to give hot dogs a bad name. Now, to me, I try to buy all beef hot dogs because I know the process of how the beef hot dogs are made. I'm not so sure about the other ones, but same thing with sausage. They don't lay around with doing no when they're gutting, cutting, and doing the producing. They ain't got time for waste. They ain't got time to throw other things in. The process is controlled. And when they're, whatever the kill ratio is for that day, and the hot dogs that are made and the other parts or whatever's being made, that stuff is like just going like this. Other products, I can't, I won't vouch for it. But if you wanted, if if you've given up on hot dogs, and I've tasted several over the last couple of years, and what the hot dogs used to be like when I was a kid, and I gotta say, Armor hot dogs, an Armor all beef hot dog is still a damn good hot dog. I mean, but if you get an all beef hot dog from one of the major corporations, like Oscar Mayer or Armour, because they've been making them for a long time. Oscar Mayer, Wiener, da da da, bum 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 bum. Um, get an all meat Oscar Mayer, an all beef Oscar Mayer hot dog. You know, and no, I don't get money from them. It's time to do a bowl and go to bed. The mere thing that is eating is gross. Eating is gross. Can we talk about drugs again? What kind? Whatever happened to the Carolina Canary? Oh, Diane, I missed you. I've been off and I took my meds just before I started this stream. Yeah, it's 2:16 a.m. Gerald, what's Carolina Canary? I don't know. But yeah, I've been up too long myself. This is my third stream for the day, the 24-hour period, and I'm getting used to my meds and everything. But I've gotten on a roll, and when I started doing this video, I was like, who knows what this is going to be about, and what I had intended, and where I've ended up talking about chickens and stuff. But everything I've told you, I've witnessed. Now, I know things have changed over the years, but these chicken farms are just right down the road from me. And, I go by them all the time and I know what the breeds are and that kind of thing. So I know the local area. Can I talk about others? But yeah. Oh, Miss Diane, right now the temperature is a balmy about a 74. What's interesting is because of this air conditioner, it doesn't get very cold. It's a really slow hum down here on the end of the house, but it has taken the water out of the air, and that in itself is pleasant in here. Now, but about this time of the evening, with the windows open and the fans drawn, it usually is, but the air is thicker then, and it's only been in the end of the wall now for today's its second day. Um, like I said, it ain't very. It's not. It's not how cool, but the breathing is. I woke up this morning going, "Oh my God!" In my own house. Holy crap! I'm still amazed. I've got an air conditioner upstairs that, if I were to have it on, would help cool the whole house. But there's something clogged and I need somebody to help me. And it wouldn't take that long, but I can't get anybody to go upstairs with me to pull the damn thing out of the wall long enough for me to unstick the fan. It might, I think a mud dauber has built a nest onto the fan motor because when you try to turn the fan on, it just goes. "Nee." If it's not that, then the second thing is then it's a start capacitor on the motor, and I need to get the number and go get me one, and I'll have it's damn near a brand new air conditioner set up stairs. But since the fan won't turn, and I know it ain't burned up, it ain't that old. But so it's just been one thing after another here for me, and then my failing health that I wasn't a I was just not aware that my heart condition was that bad, uh, quite frankly. And I've been sick for a while. I've been moseying along and telling everybody I'm okay, but I've been lying through my teeth. But I didn't know I was that sick. So, lots of lessons, but I feel better in the fact that I don't feel as heavy as I did somehow. And it's because of, I guess, the blood thinner that they got me on. Best thing I can tell you. But it show is different. My ride to the end of the line this time through is absolutely going to be different, and I can't wait. So I just today makes the 7 days out of the hospital. Next week I got appointments with my heart doctor, and then another 2 weeks I have to wait to go see my general practitioner, who knows nothing of any of this, and it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. But either way, I've been to enough doctors. I've learned enough. I'll handle it because I want to hang around y'all. I want to see who can make the best fried chicken at the end of the day. All right, so it's 2:21 a.m. and with a 222. I have to relearn how to smoke this. I want to bring it into my mouth, but not into my lungs. And then I want to take the smoke and like puff it out my nose so that my nose will act like my lungs. They're fucking big enough. And um, getting the THC out of the smoke. So I want to try to keep it out of my lungs as much as possible and run it through my nostrils as a, and that's how it'll get into my bloodstream. And it's worked, but I got to learn how to do it. Good night, Joe. Hope you do well. No, but I've been coughing without it. I mean, I did real good this morning without smoking any, and I was coughing up along with this white stuff. And I got to do a put the mask on and everything before I go to bed because I have smoked and I need to cough, cough up a lung. Oh God Almighty! One thing. My sister, when I talked to her today, she goes, "Well, you sound like you're in a good mood." I said, "I'm having a freaking ball," you know, and I'm not really smoking much. I just try to smoke with my nose, kind of thing. I just grabbed it and lit it, and which was a mistake right now. I haven't been doing that. I'm stoned, and then just got stoned, and but you know what? If any of you have ever coughed up smoke, it's got a color to it. I ain't gonna show you this to you, but this is that I'm still coughing up gross white stuff from a lung. So as much as it might hurts when I do that, I'm coughing up some really weird shit from my lungs, and as a result of taking that heavy hit right there. And I would rather take another heavy hit, not that I might, than to have what I'm looking at right here in this napkin to be in my lungs. Okay, just between you and me and the fence post. I'm glad that's out of me. I really am. And it looks like an emulsified marshmallow. I'm that's it's not gross in that, but it's strange that it's the color and texture it is coming out of my lungs. Because I had a pack of cigarettes here. When I woke up this morning, like at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was up early this morning, which is unusual for me. There are four cigarettes in the pack, and it took me all day to get to two of them. And I realized that half of both of those cigarettes had burned up in my ashtray because I was trying to figure out how to smoke it without it going into my lungs, how to do the nose smoke thing. And and I was doing something else, checking online, and I looked over and went, damn that cigarette. Okay, so there's two out, And in the afternoon, I pulled one out and went to light it, and it stayed here. And it took me 3 tries, and I smoked half of the cigarette. The other half is laying over here as a big butt, and I just smoked the other one. So I all day long for 4 cigarettes, which I was working on a half a pack a day, and those 4 cigarettes was like maybe two if I'd really smoked them. So I've cut my tobacco ratio way down. Uh, I'm looking at them before I light them. I'll take a drag off the end of it when I first light it and just put it right back out. So I know I have to make my own serious choices about this. Can't be farting around with this no more. Uh, I, I mean, well, I don't know before, blah, blah. Nah, I know now. So to continue on, and it might be 3 or 4 cigarettes a day. I had gotten years ago down to where 3 cigarettes was my daily. Um, I'd do one in the morning, sort of like a breakfast thing. Around lunchtime, it was always around a meal. So if I could get to where like that was my maximum again of 3 cigarettes a day, I'd be tickled shitless. And because from there, I can skip breakfast or not do one at lunch or, you know, but to over these last few years, as much as I've been containing my smoking, if I went over, it was no big deal. And sometimes I'd smoke a pack a day, but we was doing other stuff and really busy and having fun. No, I ain't gonna do that. Having fun or not, three, because I didn't know then about the heart. So obviously, it's changed a lot of my parameters, and I'm hoping because I I found out now my brother has heart disease, and oh what you know me and my sister, our adopted brother, I'm sorry, sister Lynn and I are adopted, and our brother Danny, he was the natural born of our mom and pops, but he's not really related to us. He's our cousin, but now he's got heart disease. Oh, he's way overweight. He is gross. It is so bad. My brother needs help. And now he's got heart disease, and that's just, I think he's trying to kill himself, honestly. Um, and as far as his mind and so forth has developed over these last few years, God knows, take him sooner than later because he is literally wallowing in his own poop, and that just ain't right. He's lost the ability to be able to take care of his own bodily functions. He's gotten so fat and unresponsive, and just it's gross. And now he's got heart disease. So it's like, what do you do? And I told my sister, I said, he was Navy for almost 20 years, and there are facilities, and somebody needs to find him one. They need to quit farting around with him because he's a danger to himself and other people. And I mean, and besides that, it's gross. It's beyond, and there's nothing we can do about it because he needs other help than us, of his siblings, because we've tried. I mean, he left a trailer sitting in my yard. He didn't have to pay a dime except his electricity. And he abandoned it here in my property, and it's just been rotting over the years. And his life looks like that trailer. It's rotting. He's rotting, and it's a shame. It really is. He was all go Navy. He was a pro bass fisherman with all kinds of trophies, and he's literally rotting in a room in his own filth, and now his heart disease and so forth. So I don't know. In that respect, I've got it easy, you know. But I tried to have enough foresight. It's like my sister told me today on the phone. She goes, Dave, she goes, your house is cluttered, but not like your brother's. Your brother's is a mess. And I said, with the cans and the bags, and she goes, up to the ceiling. And so he was getting that bad when he abandoned the property up here and moved back down to Florida. So he's only gotten worse. And God knows, I was like, oh, I had no idea. Honestly, I didn't. I thought he had kind of cleaned up his act some. He moved to Middle Florida, to be near his sons, and apparently he has gotten excessively worse in his addiction, and with food and just being in the condition, which is like really sad. But I know of other people like that, and it's like, you mean our brother felt he is one of them now? Yeah. Oh no. Now the other family up north ain't nothing like none of this, right? So it's just an interesting twist of events, I guess, and it's not against us in any way, but um, it is a sibling that we grew up with, and to see their deterioration like this is just, he would be, I'll be 70, he's 65, I guess. I guess there's 5 years there, um, 4 years. But anyway, so he's 66 this year. But anyway, but to be in that kind of condition, he's hell bent for destruction with his overweight and so forth. But he also somehow went through the Navy or whatever. He got a PTSD, and he used to be a fairly clear thinking person. Um, he was, whatever class he was in charge of his area as a ship fitter and welder and so forth on the Elmer Montgomery. He was on the USS Enterprise out of Pensacola for a long time back in the day. Been through the Mediterranean many a times. Was in the original Gulf War. Uh, but so anyway, to now just to be turned literally into some kind of vegetable, non-thinking entity is just, how did you get there? I mean, in a way, he was like a war hero, because that there was an incident where they were running with the flagship, the Carl Vincennes, when that Iranian plane that they claim we shot down. Well, we shot it down all right, but it was a bunch of dead people inside the airliner, and that was when they was escorting folks through the canal. So he was in the mix of all that back when it first occurred, and of course they've been different types of things, but uh, the Vincennes and the Elmer Montgomery were on the front line. They were being fired upon when this airplane was coming in, and so they got commendations and everything, and in so many ways they were in a war zone and were decorated as such. So my brother's a war hero in a way, and is just ended up into dissolved into nothingness. Society, the um, the veterans group denied him, um, and that had a lot to do with it. But anyway, that's a melancholy way to end the day, ain't it? But someone who needs prayed for. And I did not know the condition until today. And in my own going through the news, this was news today that I received that I hadn't really had a chance to cogitate through. Because after I found out about it, I was getting ready for Robert's show. I was cooking supper and doing some other things. And I did the show, then I'm doing this. And now I'm cogitating about the conversation that happened this afternoon. But I've worked in nursing homes and stuff, and I've seen people who have gotten in that condition. My dear friend Marcia passed away a year ago, February. She was way overweight. And once she was down on her back and they had to send her to her nursing home, all she could do was complain. And then they didn't want to turn her over when she was necessary. And she is a big ass woman and hard to turn over and hard to keep well. And when she's bitching and complaining and she's got a shoulder broken and an arm broken and then a splint and a knee that's bad, and it took her down. Took a couple months, but it took her down. And it's going to be that way with my brother. Something's going to happen. His heart is going to fail. Love you too. Let's say what you got going there. I need to quit talking about this and go to bed. But it is on my mind at the moment. Yeah, love you too, Chloe. So I'm going to head out too. I'm just sitting here, just ruminating, cogitating, kind of moseying along in my own little dream world here. But what I was going to say is it's not just about my brother, but that I've known other people like that, and that now that he's fallen into that category, is like, oh no, you know. So there are a lot of folks in that category. One of my friends passed away last year, not from exactly the same thing, but close. Overweight to, you know. So for all y'all out there, Lord have mercy. I am picking on people that are overweight now, and I ain't gonna stop. I'm sorry. Well, I'm okay. No, you just went up another damn belt size. Don't bullshit me. Well, I'm only up to a 46. What? You're supposed to be like a 40. And you're telling me it's okay that I go up from a 44 to a 46? No, the kid ain't. Lose that weight. Don't you dare buy new pants. Lose that weight and go back down to when you were wearing your 40s. Oh, well, I don't know. No, damn it. You're 68 years old, you're overweight, and you have the capacity to change that shit. Don't tell me you can't do it. So I'm going to be on some folks' ass that are overweight simply because I was 250 pounds myself one time for a while with my brother Danny, who was like who was running about almost 300 pounds. He was running about 280 at the time. So he was about 30 pounds heavier back then. And I said, no, this can't go on. And I've been a 265, 285, and right now I'm right around 275. And I feel good at this weight. I don't want to get any fatter. That ain't happening. But for other folks that, oh, and I looked at my BMI too. I might have to look that up. But the idea that, listen, you can control it and you can still be happy. I eat what I want, not necessarily when I want it or as much as I want it, but as much as I love chocolate ice cream, there's some in the freezer. But I used to eat a half a gallon every time I sat down when I had it. Now I take a cup and fill a cup full of ice cream. And it isn't a really big cup, it's a small cup. It's a teacup kind of thing, coffee cup. I fill it up, and that's how much I eat. And so a gallon of milk, I'm sorry, a gallon of ice cream will last me forever now. And now I've gotten to the point where I take it out of the freezer And if I eat a couple of just good big spoonfuls, I'm happy as a lark. So I get my ice cream. I got three different kinds in there. And so I eat my ice cream. I got chocolate pie in the freezer, but I cut it in small pieces and eat it with some milk. But so it's not like, but I don't eat a bunch of it. It's taken me a month to eat that chocolate pie in the freezer because of moderate. So, but if I want a piece of chocolate pie, I'll go in there and take me off a little nibble slice and put it back. And I used to eat the whole thing. So I still get what I want. I've just learned how to just take little portions of it to make it last a while. So this idea that you can't do it, all you got to do is modify your behavior. That's all. Do you have to give up everything? No, but you got to slow down, obviously. So, but anyway, I'm going to continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will find the strength, the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. Those folks who are struggling to get by in whatever way they're having issues, I will continue to pray each and every day that each and every one of them and each and every one of you will continue to find the knowledge and the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings that are available in the universe. Sometimes it takes a little figuring out, but it's there. And in the law of three, I continue to pray that each and every one of you will continue to learn, to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings in the universe. And if something's bothering you, then let's talk about it. Let's bring it out in the open. You ain't got to say, oh, well, my friend has this problem. Close enough. Let's chat about it, but act upon it and know that all of us within the Soul Tribe group are going to be praying for you. Like you all prayed for me, I continue to pray for all of you. If you got cigarette issues or breathing issues or whatever issues you got, I'm going to sing to the universe and ask that the prayer be heard. That I'm understanding somehow, and the whale card tonight that I pulled with Robert V. Going to have a discussion about music and frequencies because I've been instructed, it seems like, through this revelation in my near death experience, that there's a song in the universe that if we're having a bad day, ask the universe to play a song to smooth your day out. And it's a cosmic sound. I can't explain it, and I'm not going to get it. That's going to be the teaser and the trailer for what's coming up next. So TTFN, my friends, top off, ta ta for now. Ta 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 ta. You can tell my meds are kicking in. It's time to shut up. So good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Till next time, I love you all. This is Hawkeye Two Feathers saying, cheers. Keep it between the ditches.